Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Bloodrot Talks. We're very sorry we've been away for about a month now. I know I posted on YouTube that we were going to be gone a while, but I was not
Mm.
anticipating it being quite this long. That's my bad. Um, but yeah, a lot has happened in Flesh and Blood since we last talked, and it's been itching to record something to talk about it. So it's good to be back. Connie, how you been doing?
I've been hanging in there. I meant to try and do some solo content while you were away in Europe, but I kind of just I was just having a lot of trouble with my health issues. But now I've started a new medication, and I think I should be good for now.
Yeah.
But you know, we've kind of just been like geeking out over the new cards that have come out. We went to the Battle Hardened Toronto, which we will talk about a little later.
Mm-hmm.
That
Been a busy month.
was super fun. Um, and yeah, I've just been like doing a lot of testing with our friends and just trying
Mm-hmm.
to figure out. We we were doing a lot of grinding for the Battle Hardened.
Yeah, I did absolutely zero grinding for the Battle Hardened, which unfortunately did show. So um, just before Christmas last month, I flew to Portugal to spend some time with my fiance. There, I spent close to 3 weeks in Portugal. It was a wonderful trip, and it was really great. But obviously, I was spending time with her. We were going on trips to Braga, going to see some museums, doing very nice cultured things that unfortunately didn't make me any better at Flesh and Blood. So while Connie and our other friends were IRL testing, I was every once in a while when I had a moment to myself on the vacation trying to theory craft some new build that I could think of. What I should have done is just played CYB new, I think. I should have just played it. But for some reason, I think the last time I played it, just the pitch curve of it felt weird to me. And I was really worried about fighting Reaping Blade Visceri for some reason.
Mm.
Uh, which I did fight, but I won one and I lost, so matter. But yeah, I was kind of brewing my own list. I was just cooking with some Eradicate stuff, and then I ended up not doing that. And then I don't remember exactly what I ended up on, but it was a non CYB, more aggressively made Master of Recurring Nightmares list. In hindsight, not very happy with where it landed. And then, well, I'll talk some more about exactly what happened at the Battle Hardened. But
Mm.
yeah, it was a very fun weekend, but not my best competitive showing. Connie did a little bit better than me. Connie was gaining some elo.
I was
My
pretty happy with how I did. I
my elo
gained.
perished in the fires of a KO high roll, which I will talk
Oh,
about later.
yeah. Yeah, I gained a
Yeah.
bit of elo. I There's a couple like pretty good Canadian players that I was able to take the win over, and that those matches gained me like a lot of elo. And I
Yeah.
yeah, we'll talk about that when we talk about the Battle Hardened.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna talk. We just want to talk briefly, like a recap of the event, before we move on to talking about the hunted spoilers. So for me, January 10th, there was the Super Armory, the day before the Battle Hardened, and I was flying back into the country that day. So I got back to Canada in the early afternoon, with my suitcase. Our buddy Braden picked me up. I was very jet lagged and very tired. We took our stuff to the hotel. I had a sub because I had had some terrible airplane food. It was like chicken with rice, but the chicken was like four tiny little quarter-sized pieces of chicken. Like, it was no protein whatsoever. I
Mm.
was starving. It was like an 8-hour flight. And then we just jumped right back into playing the Super Armory, which was very fun. Super Armory was awesome. I was feeling pretty good about my new list, honestly, after the Super Armory. But yeah, I think we both went 2-1 at the Super Armory. I also had a super cool experience where our new friend Jenin, who was from New York, he was sitting nearby to me during the Super Armory, and he said like, "Hey, aren't you from Bloodrot Talk?" And so he had flown in for the Battle Hardened, and I guess he was watching my new guy to prepare to play new at the Battle Hardened. And so I also have our buddy Ethan at the Armory that I've been trying to give a hand with new, who benefited from the guide. And so it was like, while that was happening, I was like, man, I feel really bad that I haven't made an episode in so long because
Mm.
the first the first moment of recognition that's ever happened to me like that happened. So that was pretty cool. He was a very nice guy. He hung out with us for most of the weekend. It was really cool. Met a lot of cool people that weekend. But
That was super
yeah,
fun.
how'd the Super Army go for you?
Yeah, like I went 2-1. Uh uh the one I lost was like a really close game against Ellie Bird. Uh
Oh, I forgot she's beat you at the Super Armory.
yeah, she was on Aurora. Uh I made like a small mistake that cost me the game, but that's,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's why we're trying to get out the mistakes in the Super Armory. Uh
Exactly. Yeah, no, it was pretty sick. And then we were staying in a hotel with our buddies. We ate some delicious food that weekend. I forget the Super Armory night. We didn't go out for dinner, did we? Or
ah
did we? No, because I just had Subway, and I don't think we did. We went out for dinner on the Saturday and the Sunday.
yeah, like I
Saturday was
think we just
Hank
went back to
Daddy's
the
barbecue, and then Sunday we had Top Gun burger. That's right, Top Gun
Mhm.
taste. But yeah, the Battle Hardened. Uh, woke up, went to Walmart, saw some Flesh and Blood players at the local McDonald's there. Just tried to get some like protein bars and stuff for the Battle Hardened. Um, stocked up on food and just went. We started. Uh, I honestly it wasn't that long ago, but I don't remember specifically my matchups on the Battle Hardened day. But I remember losing the first round, which was unfortunate. Um, I lost the first round, and then no, that was the PQ plus. That's the PQ plus. Um, but yeah, my Battle Hardened didn't go amazingly. I think I went it was 8 rounds, right? So I went
Yeah.
5-3. So it wasn't terrible. Um, my losses, I remember losing to an Ira player who played the matchup just perfectly. It was really hard for me to come out on top on that one. Um, and then I lost to a Zen player as well who ended up making grand finals. Jimmy Demers Nero is in there. I forget exactly his name, but he was a very, very good player.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, because I had been away for so many weeks, I was goofing some of the reaction step stuff into him, and so we had to like call a judge and fix some stuff. That was unfortunate. Unfortunate loss for me. But the new list wasn't performing too badly. But the losses I had, I feel like I definitely could have won if I was on CYB new. Because like into Ira, I was just falling too behind on life. He was blocking me very intelligently. I think that life cushion would have done me a lot of good. I I don't know why I thought that I just couldn't play CYB at the time, but just wasn't speaking to me. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. We had technical difficulties, but yeah, overall the battle hardened went pretty well. All things considered, I think I lost like point 0.3 elo or something, so I can't complain about that one.
Mhm.
PQ plus I can complain about, but we'll get to that. But yeah, it was just I felt like I was doing pretty well for a while, and then I never drink energy drinks or caffeine at all, but I chugged one in the morning for energy, and it really started to wear off, and it was
Mhm.
10 hours of flesh and blood when my brain was 5 hours in the past. It
Mhm.
was a lot. Um, I'll need to get used to it for Pro Tour London, but it was a lot mentally. How'd it go for you though? How'd it go for you?
Overall, I was quite happy with my Battle Hardened performance. I went 5-3 as well. But I feel like the losses were like it was just like the RNG was like pretty unfavorable for me.
Mhm.
My first my first loss was against Evan Herden, and so it was Zenmir,
Mhm.
and I was really excited because he actually got IP2 because his deck list didn't match what he submitted.
Oh,
Okay,
is that what happened with the deck
yeah,
list?
he said that like his buddy like printed off the paper for him, but then had made changes and didn't tell him about it. Uh,
Oh.
and so he just self-reported it and got IP2'd. And so I was really excited because I was like, okay, this guy's a really good player. This is like the kind of handicap that I really need to like win the mirror.
Mhm.
Um, and then so like that happened. Uh, and then I got to go second. I draw up, and it's like an all red hand that I need to break uh my pouncing pause to make it work.
Mhm.
He just full blocks because he's got one less card in hand. And then he passes back, and then I draw an insanely gas hand. We've
Mhm.
got uh, Ancestral Harmony, and then I have Passover to transcend off of it. I even had a Chase the Tail. It
Mhm.
was going to be the most perfect thing ever. I play the Passover. He only has action cards in his graveyard, and he counterspells it with the Preserved Tradition. And it just
It's
like,
disgusting.
uh, it was so unfortunate. And then he ended up drawing more wax on wax offs than me, and so
Mhm.
he just had more Zen states, and then it was just like, so it's hard to complain about that loss because it's like the RNG, like it seemed like I was very favored to win because of the IP2,
Mhm.
but then the RNG just like completely messed me up, and so we ended up losing that one. Um, and then like I kind of forget like all of the matches that I won. It was like some combination of like I think there was a KO in there. I beat I won all the Enigma matches that I played. I won all of the Aurora matches that I played. One of the Viscera I won that I played. My other two losses though
Mhm.
was there were um I think 5 or 6 Victor Gold mains in the room in total,
Oh yeah.
and I fought 2 of them in a row,
Ah.
and it's just like Zen really can't. It's like really hard to beat that deck
Mhm.
as Zen, especially because like your way out of it before was to sort of high roll on an Art of War turn, but Art of War
Mhm.
is banned now, and so like without that, it's just like Victor just wins every clash into you. They have like a 5 card hand, and it's just so painful and terrible. Um, So it was it was the one Zenmir and then the 2 Victors, which were my losses. But then I won everything else.
It's
And so
unfortunate because I think I remember I fought one of those victors,
mhm.
and he was such a nice guy, but he just like conceded halfway through the game because I got like two
Mhm.
crazy cheat turns in a row. Um,
I got really close to beating him. I got him down to 1, but it's just like, like with the way cuz I was playing something that was very close to the Nick Butcher Zen list,
mhm.
and a lot of your sideboard tech is to not like has nothing to do with decks like Victor.
Yeah.
Uh, and so I just sort of got outvalued in those games.
Mhm. Um, but yeah, I also just remembered the other loss I had that I remember, which was to Chris Barecki's Dash IE. He was,
Mm.
I think, either the only Dash IE or like one of two, and he was on this like crazy Hanabi Blaster deck. And normally, like, that deck is better into new than the traditional Dash list, but normally I don't find it too tricky. But he is so damn good at that deck. Like, all he plays is Mechanologist, and every time I needed uh like some gas, right? Like I needed some disruption. I would draw like a Bonds of Agony with no reacts that I had to bluff, and every time I would like really confidently play it, and then he would just be like he would run the calculations in his head. He checked every card in his hand. He was just like no blocks, and I was like, okay, well,
Mhm.
it's for two go again. I'll just play another stealth and pass. It's really unfortunate. I'm hoping that issue is less bad with Arakni Marionette, but we'll see. Uh, but yeah, just seeing those all blue hands on new. Sometimes it's like crazy good, and then other
Mhm.
times it's like 1, 2, 1 pass.
I know, like
You know,
people like to
crazy four
say,
card
because
fours.
like like understandably, people are like kind of annoyed that like the mystic heroes are so dominant
Hmm.
in the metagame, and a lot of people say stuff like, "Oh, like their blues are basically reds," but sometimes they are blues.
Yeah, they're not
Like,
always reds. They have the potential to be red,
yeah.
but yeah, no, no. That day where they were definitely blues. Um, but yeah, cool enough. One of our locals, Michael Jasker, was the one who won the whole thing. Um, we were talking about Connie was telling me at the armory prior to the Battle Hardened, he had asked to borrow Prism cards, and he was playing Prism at the armory. He got super tilted because our buddy Mariusz beat him with it was with KO, right?
KO, yeah.
And so he was like done with Prism, and then he went to the Battle Hardened and didn't lose another game the whole day. So it was like,
Yeah, he went 11-0, which is very impressive.
yeah, lose at the armory as Prism, go to the Battle Hardened, play Zen, don't lose, just go completely undefeated. Freaking crack. But yeah, so it was really cool. I always love to see like when some of the good pro players in the area get to play on stream.
Hmm.
So watching Michael just take it down, super. But yeah, let's talk about the PQ plus, I guess, if we have to. That was the most depressing. Oh, even though I went 5-3, like I lost like 11 elo. I fought two Verdances, which I was not expecting, but turns out that matchup is pretty good for new, at least as far as I can tell. My buddy Braden insists that it's actually Verdant's favored, but we haven't done the testing for that yet. But
Hmm.
my one Verdant's opponent, I was playing a Bonds of Agony, and he blocked exactly one too few, but he sunk his I think it's Heartbeat of Candlehold,
Hmm.
or the gain one. He sunk that so that it wouldn't get Bonds of Agony just in case, and then he drew another one.
Hmm.
So I did one damage, banished three of those. I was getting pretty beat up, and then I got to like heal 9 from that. I just healed a ton over the course of that game. Like I think I healed back another like 20, 30 life without count your buffs. It's just
Hmm.
like playing his healing or triggering on banished stuff. That matchup is really fun, as it turns out. But the losses, uh, one of them was a team kill. Our buddy Keegan, I fought him, and there was this one spot where like he'd probably disagree with how this went, but he didn't know what my hand looked like. There was a spot where he was playing out this really big turn where he ended up with like 10 rune chance and he was gonna swing his reaping blade, but he missed his tunic counter, so he didn't have enough resources to swing the reaping blade. And I had 3 blues in hand, so I was like, I can AB9 on this, take 4, we're chilling. Instead, he just arsenals and passes. Or no, he doesn't have an arsenal, he just passes. Uh, and so I have like 3 blues in hand that are all right. I think I just swung a surgical extraction and passed. And then he had like this gas, like 28 damage turn where I had arsenaled the last blue, which I forget what it was. It might have been a persuasive prognosis or something. And then I drew 4 reds. So it was like I couldn't stop any of the insane arcane he was dealing. It was like a Mordred Tide turn.
Hmm.
So like him missing that tunic counter for me. I can't say for certain that I would have won that game. Uh, but there was that, and then there was also I missed a ponder trigger, uh, and then the top card of my deck was a surgical extraction that I could have had in arsenal, which would have like completely changed the way the game ended. I was so pissed. He missed his thing. It negatively impacts me. I miss my thing. Negatively impact. You know. I mean, obviously, I should have just not missed my trigger, and it was fine. But yeah, that was a pretty big tilter. The KO game. So for context, at the PQ Plus, I decided a lot of the new players on the Discord have been talking about how all the good assassin players play Traverse New. Um, I don't like Traverse New, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it a try. So for the uninformed, Traverse New runs I think 2 mainboard chi, 2 more in the sideboard, maybe 3 more in the sideboard. Um, and you have like Mask of Recurring Nightmares in the sideboard for the matchups where you end up bringing in more blues. So like into Viscerai, for example, I was on Mask of Recurring. But into most other stuff, you're just running Traverse. The idea is your deck blocks a lot more efficiently. You only have like 2 non-blocks in the deck. Uh, and it lets you play a more traditional assassin game plan. You're not playing for Mask of Recurring Nightmares and like bigger hands. You're playing for like smaller disruptive hands until you use your Traverse to get a blue for like a big pop-off turn, right? So I brought in 2 extra chi. So I was on 4 chi, which is that's still low chi, right? I just
Mm-hmm.
brought in Passover and the Sacred Art because I'm playing into KO. I wanna combo him. So I'm running far fewer chi than most new lists still, and I'm running like the Blockwell list. He wins the die roll. He chooses to go first. He draws up Pulping, gets to swing a claw, and then Bare Fangs for 8. I look at my hand, and I have 2 3 blocks and 2 chi. That one of them is the Sacred Art, so I can't like transcend them off each other. So I can only block 6 on that turn. I take 11 damage turn 0. I'm like, all right, that's fun, but that's okay. I'm gonna draw up and see something. And I draw a Siren's Call and a Just a Nick with my 2 blues. So the hand does nothing unless I can draw a card, do something with. Swing a dagger. Okay, obviously he says no block. Siren's Call. 2 yellows, 2 reds. So no card draw. Wasted my mana on nothing. It was so bad. I think I just like swung another dagger with the chi arsenal to just a Nick. And then I think I also didn't see a blue stealth in the next hand. Like it was so cursed.
Yeah.
And not to flame the guy or anything, like not in a bad way, but he was a newer player, right? Like he was not exactly high ranked. I had just had not the best record up to that point. So losing to him just like completely tanked my elo for the whole weekend, and I dropped like 6 places on the leaderboard. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was a tilter. It was a tilter. KO runs some cards. Normally that matchup is fine for new. Like it's not that bad. I just oh 11 damage turns 0 into a hand that does nothing. Tilter.
Can go either way for Zen, because like
Yeah, how did your Zen go at the PQ plus?
I was so tired from I still went 5-3 overall. So like
Mm-hmm.
I still did pretty good. I'm still happy with it. Um but it's like I I actually drew my round 1 cuz I was against um a, a new player.
Yeah.
Uh and they were playing CYB new, and I just wasn't paying enough attention to the clock. As I said at the beginning of the game, I was like, just be careful because we might go to time. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh no, we won't go to time. And like,
People
I don't
always
know
say
if
that.
they, I don't know if they, I don't think they expected me to like just be like, okay, block send 6, block send
Mm-hmm.
6, because like Cass and I have labbed out the new Zen matchup a lot, and that's what you got to do to win.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was able to resolve a Cosmic Awakening for 20, but um like basically we had both kind of run out of cards, but I was going to do more damage than them
Mm-hmm.
had it like kept going a few more turns, because there wasn't enough damage in my banish zone.
Mm-hmm.
um so like I would have if we had like 5 more minutes, I would have eventually got there, but uh, we ran out of time. So I drew that, uh, and then like I still won this match, but I was like, I almost I was freaking out about it a lot because this was the only rules infraction I made in the whole weekend.
Infraction.
Where
But yes,
what's that?
you said infracture. Infract.
Oh, okay. Um, so like it was against Viscerai.
Mm-hmm.
I turn one Warmongers and then I draw up into a gas Ancestral Harmony turn, and I played the Ancestral Harmony, and like my opponent didn't say anything. I just start resolving it, and then I keep going, and then I'm like, and then as I go to activate Zen, and I'm like, wait a minute, I wasn't supposed to be able to do any of that. And then we called a judge, and then um, it was because I hadn't picked up and searched my deck. We were able to restore the game state pretty cleanly. I didn't actually get any like punishment or anything. The only thing that happened was that my opponent got to choose whether the card that I banished off of Ancestral Harmony went on the top or bottom. It
Mm-hmm.
was a Chase the Tail that I banished, so it would have been like
Oh,
it would have been the craziest
disgusting.
turn ever. But like I played the Warmonger, so
Yeah.
it happens. But yeah, then I managed to just barely eke that out. Zen states are broken. um,
They really are.
and I'm trying to think of what my so I had the draw at the beginning, and then
Mm-hmm.
I lost a Zen mirror because I didn't see a single chi until turn like 4 or 5.
Gotcha.
And then my wax on wax off didn't line up. I drew all of the wax off before I saw a wax on.
Mm.
Um, so that was unfortunate. And then my only other loss was it was like the last round that I had going into the. I don't think that would have gotten me to the top 8 if I won that match.
Mm-hmm.
I think it just would have gotten me top 16, which would have just gotten me a few packs. But I went against Dawnblade Dorinthia, which is just that is similar to Victor. It's just like something that like I just don't have the sideboard tech for. I managed like I
Mm.
had sync blows in my list, which helped a little bit, but I got them down to like 1. But like they saw all of the good Dorinthia cards line up,
Yeah.
so
As
um
as does happen.
but then
Yeah.
like the other matches I won was like Enigma. I won like another Zen mirror. Um, I beat every Enigma that I played this weekend. So
Oh, that was my other loss. Oh God, it was the Enigma game. Oh.
it was either
Um.
the PQ, the Enigma game.
No, I lost round one at the PQ to Metallo playing Enigma, which was I think it was me not playing my list properly. I was like taking damage when he didn't have words just to send back like middling disruptor. Like it was I
Mm.
played really stupidly. Uh that game. But no, it was I think this was at the Battle Hardened. I was against a French Canadian player and I didn't notice that he had Mage Master boots. And then
Oh, did you
I
get
sent like this
10K'd?
really good turn into him. Yeah, and then he like resolves the Sacred Art the next turn. I was like, oh, that's he just couldn't block it, and then he just sends like his little shields, and then Mage Master's 10k, wing 10, and I was like, oh, that's gonna be a problem because he has a whole bunch of spectral shields out. And I never saw a hand that could kill the 10k because he saw like a Mira guy right after, and I was just getting pummeled to death. Like there was, oh, it was the least interactable game of Flesh and Blood I've ever played.
Mm.
Like I saw a couple all red hands while he had the 10k out, and it was like every time I'd block it out, just more word would show up. I really hate that deck when it gets going like that. Like
Yeah.
it has word 10, and then you get more words out. Like you have to push so much damage just to tickle that little word 10, or you take
Mm.
10 damage off a tunic count. Like crazy, crazy deck. Um, But yeah, that was rough. I I was feeling all right about my Enigma matchup. I beat like a different Enigma player with my deck, but no, the new Enigma matchup, it can go well, but if you get ward rolled and you don't
Mm-hmm.
see like your disruption yet or your like go wide stuff yet, like wretched stuff.
Yeah, I feel like with my games over the two tournaments, I felt like I won every matchup that I should have.
Mm,
So like I beat all the Enigmas, I beat all the Rune Blades. I won in the Zen mirrors where something catastrophically bad didn't happen to me. And then my
yeah.
losses were like Victor, which I was not even slightly teched for,
Mhm.
uh, and the one Dorinthia, which I was not even slightly teched for.
Yeah. But yeah, results aside, I love playing those big events. Like
Mm-hmm.
everybody was so nice. There were so many cool people around. Got to see some of the more famous players. I saw Michael Fang there. Brody Spurlock was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yuki and Ellie were there, obviously, because they're Canadian players. But they live on the West Coast. Um, it was just really cool. And yeah, I'm very, very excited for the next one we get, which I think mine is until the Pro Tour. But we're doing RTN season soon.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, the store that sponsored the event is Invasion. And Invasion is the best game store of all time, run by the
Absolutely.
coolest dudes in the universe, Chris and Shelby. They are such cool people. It was so good to see them like actually get a big event from LSS because a certain game store that shall remain nameless was the one that used to get all the events in this area, and they would ban random people in the Flesh and Blood community, and they had a whole bunch of horror stories about how mean they were, and I think they just dropped Flesh and Blood entirely last month. So cool to see Invasion getting
Rip
their
bozos.
just reward because they have been pumping their resources into this game. Like they open so much product and they hook
Mm-hmm.
players up with the cards they need. They're teamed up with PCG for the pro team, of which several of the players we like are on. So super cool to see them run the event. Um, but yeah, I think it's time. I think it's time we stop talking about that stuff and we start talking about the hunting. Because I have not gotten to talk about Arakni Marionette yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, very excited about that hero. Fair warning, I'm going to talk very minimally about Slip Through the Cracks today. I don't find them to be a very compelling design personally. I'm going to test with them and see if there's something there. Like I think there might be. I just I don't play assassin to send a head jab with go again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Play assassin for the lion. I like the lions a lot better. But let's switch views so I can pull up the different agents of chaos because I want to talk about each of them first. So obviously, if you're watching Bloodrot Talks, I'm sure you've probably seen the spoiler season already. But just in case you haven't, talk about this beautiful, beautiful hero right here, Arakni Marionette. So Arakni Marionette gives attacks with stealth. They're attacking a marked hero +1 and on hit go again. And then if they stay marked at the end of the turn, you transform into an agent of chaos. So you're actually playing 7 heroes in one. And it's so satisfying. We've
Mm-hmm.
been doing a little testing with it, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, I was very excited when I saw this hero text get revealed. The thing I was most excited about is it seemed like, not that I don't love New, obviously, but New being a mystic assassin, like you're very incentivized to play around your blues. And Uzuri too, like there was Redline Uzuri, but I think the better list was Blue Uzuri, where you play around blue stealths. You maybe run a couple red stealths, but red stealth support has been very minimal. Like you run Art of Desire Body in New,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe red Isolate, maybe red Infect sometimes in the red line Uzuri lists, but red stealths just have never felt that rewarding to play. And with Arakni Marionette, whenever you mark them, your red stealths become breakpoint. And all of a sudden, stealth cards actually do stuff when they're not just blues. And so I was really excited about that. And it turns out That is exactly how it plays. Feels awesome. But let's click on each Agent of Chaos. We'll go over quickly.
All right, that's just the. There you go. That's the
Yeah,
number
yeah.
one.
So Arakni Black Widow. So once per turn attack reaction, you discard an assassin card. Target assassin attack gets +3 if it has stealth. It gets when this hits a hero, they banish a card from their hand. So it gives the +3 to any assassin attack, but it only gives the on hit if it has stealth. And at the beginning of your end phase, return to the brood. That's what they all say. So when you are Arakni Black Widow, all of a sudden, any hand that you see where you have a redundant assassin card, that is now a Razor's Edge with an on hit to apply. You just discard it and it turns into an attack reaction. I love that design because like
Mm-hmm.
assassins can sometimes get tempo and then fail to convert their big hand. They have like all attack. There's not a ton of access to free go again. But with this, if you see all attacks, you can just play an attack, discard, you get the reaction. You're threatening a 2-card 6 with an on hit at the floor of it, right? There's a lot more you can do, as it turns out, with this stuff. But it's just, I don't know. When I heard about the Chaos talent, I was expecting it to be a lot more inconsistent. But most of the agents are actually just giving you consistency, like just making it so your hands work a little more smoothly. Pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and they
Um,
only actually made 2 chaos cards, which is
yeah,
the gem, and then uh way at the
Spurlock.
bottom, Spurlocked.
You can scroll all the way.
I've already committed to it. We're gonna find
You
it.
could just open a new tab, bro. It would
There
have been
we go.
quicker.
We
All
got
right,
there.
Spurlock. Yeah. I'm not gonna read that card because I don't think it's playable, even though it's a very cool card.
How do you feel about the gem though?
The gem. We'll talk about. We'll talk about the gem after we talk about the demi heroes.
Sure.
So funnel web, same thing as Black Widow, but when you discard the on hit it gives banishes a card from their arsenal. So Black Widow banishes a card from hand, and the opponent chooses it. This one banishes a card from arsenal. Now, giving assassin more arsenal disruption, pretty cool, but this one is a little less cool than Black Widow.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you already have a lot of sources of arsenal disruption. I find myself rolling this one a lot, and then the opponent just does an arsenal. If you draw into a codex there, that's great, but if you don't, doesn't do a ton. Doesn't do a ton.
Yeah, you're more just like it's more just like another one of the +3 ones that you're happy to see.
Yeah. No. The next one, Orb-Weaver, is very interesting. I was a little low on this one when I first started playing. I think I'm getting more high on this because Graphene Calicera is a very cool card.
It's
So this one
honestly a
says
really
Graphene
good
Calicera.
dagger, yeah.
Yeah. Graphene Calicera you control cost 1 resource less to activate, so they swing for free. And then once per turn instant, you discard an assassin card, equip a Graphene Calicera token, and then your next attack with stealth this turn gets plus. So Graphene Calicera, I don't know, it's in the token section. I'll just say what it is. Don't scroll all the way down. Graphene Calicera is a 1-attack token dagger that has stealth, and when it attacks a marked hero, it gets go again. So there's some interesting stuff you can do with the Graphene Calicera, which I'm gonna get to during our like little card review section of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, Orb-Weaver is the easiest way to get a Graphene Calicera token. Because of flick knives, you can like flick one of your Klaive when you roll onto this just to have the space to equip a Calicera. And it does some very cool things for your play pattern. I like this hero a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is the one with my favorite art for sure. Arakni Redback. This is my favorite Arakni design. I want the Marvel of this so badly, and the playmat of this so bad. So this one's once per turn attack reaction, just like Black Widow and Funnel Web. But this one, if it has stealth, it gets go again. So +3 and go again. This one is pretty cool. It enables you to do some spicy little go again plays. I think it's a little less potent than the other ones that we've seen so far. It has to line up with a hand where you see like multiple stealth cards that are good, but it's not bad. It's not bad. it's definitely still good. I don't think any of them are bad. They're
I do
like
I do really like the versatility on this one that it can give like +3 to something that isn't a stealth but still an assassin card.
yeah, they all can that can discard.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah, they all give the +3 to assassin attacks. They just only give their effect to stealth cards.
Oh, I see. Makes sense.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next one. My king, Arakni Tarantula. I love this one. So whenever a dagger you control hits a hero, they lose 1 life. And then once per turn attack reaction, you discard an assassin attack, or you discard an assassin card, and target dagger attack gets +3.
This one's
This one is
so good for
so
ending the
crazy.
game. So good for
Yeah,
ending the game.
if you roll this and they are like, I forget the exact threshold, but like 5-ish life or lower, like it's GG, you win. It might
Mm-hmm.
even be like 8, I think. See the right hand. Like there's some pretty crispy stuff you can do with flicking daggers and like there's so much you can do with this card. There's a lot of lines with this one. I'm a big fan of this one. I think this
Mm-hmm.
might be my second or third favorite. Now this one, Arakni Trapdoor. Struggle with this card. It's very good. It's for sure one of the best ones. It does. When you become this, you may search your deck for a card, banish it face down, then shuffle. If it's a trap, you may play it until the end of your next turn. So, like, this one is just card advantage, right? Lets you go get a defense reaction that's a trap, banish it face down, and then you can play it during your next turn. It's not too bad. Uh, there's a problem with it, though, that I have found. When you transform into an agent of chaos and they are still marked, typically means they've given you a bunch of cards from their hand. So getting a D-react, like in some spots, is very good. In some spots, it is. Like especially into something like Ira, if they're sitting on like a 2-card hand and you get a frailty trap, like that's pretty good. It gets you some
Mm-hmm.
value. The problem I have with this is I'll get tempo in that I've left the opponent marked. I stripped a bunch of cards from their hand on defense. I've arsenaled a good card. I'm like a good stealth card. I'm like, man, if I roll a good agent of chaos here, like I'm chilling. And then I roll trapdoor. And I get a D-react, and the opponent doesn't have anything to do, so D-react was wasted. And then I don't have the baseline Marionette hero ability, and my stealths don't get any added benefit from my hero. And it feels so bad. This is the
Yeah,
one I've rolled the most.
I was hoping they would make a few more traps in the set.
Hmm. Like the traps that mark are good. They're good cards for sure. This is not a bad hero. It just I have found, and like if you look at their little shit-eating grin, like every time I roll this, I just look at it and it's like they're laughing at me. It's like they're like, "Oh, did you want to do stuff with your stealth cards? Nah, you're gonna get a trap." I'm like, "Okay, that's fine. That's fine, trapdoor. I see how it is." Um, but yeah, so not to say they're bad. They're very good, but it's a little bit of a struggle sometimes. But yeah, so there's Arakni Marionette. Uh, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over like top 10 cards from Assassin and Ninja that we like for the heroes we're considering. So I'll go over the Assassin cards after Connie has a bit to talk about Cindra. But basically, this seems like a much more aggressive assassin. And by that, I don't mean an assassin that just wants to keep 5-card hands and send aggro with disruption. Like, you're still an assassin at the end of the day. You should still be playing like an assassin,
Mm.
playing for value. They block a lot more efficiently than New does because they don't have to run a bunch of chi. Um, it's just when you get space on Arakni Marionette, there's a lot more like big plays you can make with them, which I appreciate. But Connie, you can have some time to talk about Savor now.
It's it's hard with Cindra because
Mm-hmm.
I think that she is super cool, but I think she has like I think it's gonna take a little bit before her build is optimized. She's like a really weird deck to play.
Mm-hmm.
You'd think that just like it's like okay, she's like a draconic ninja. Like Fi was like Fi was like such a simple deck. It was like the thing that everyone would use to teach people how to play Flesh and Blood with. You
Mm-hmm.
know, if they were like a new player would show up at store and people would be like, "Here's a Fi deck," and then. But despite being a draconic ninja, like her her play pattern is quite complicated
Mm-hmm.
because like her ability is super simple. It's just like you just activate it to re-equip the two draconic daggers that she has, and then if you just attack 3 times, if you attack with 3 draconic links, then the ability is free.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that makes it complicated is the kunai don't go to the graveyard until the combat chain is closed. But if
Mm-hmm.
the combat chain is closed, then you don't control draconic chain links. And so to like you can get to 3 draconic chain links super easy because the
Mm-hmm.
kunai are draconic, but there's like a lot of weird turns where you end the turn having no daggers.
Mm. Or
And
just having one dagger.
yeah, like flick
Why don't you read what the
knives.
dagger does? Why don't you read what the dagger does?
Yeah,
People know what
so
you're talking about.
it's just a 1 mana 1 go again, and then when the combat chain closes, destroy it.
Yeah.
Um,
So it only gets destroyed when the combat chain closes, and thus, if you haven't found a way to flick the dagger or destroy it while the combat chain's open, you can't re-equip it until it gets destroyed.
yeah, like there's a couple cards like Blood Runs Deep, Burning Blade Dance that will flick the daggers uh while the combat chain is still open, and
Mm-hmm.
that gives you like the room to uh re-equip them so that you have them for next turn. But like, you know, whereas like something like Katsu or Ira or Kadachi Fi even, like, you know, you can like block with 2 cards and then just go like Kadachi, some attack, threaten to do Mask Momentum or something like that.
Yeah.
But with Cindra, like if you do that, then you don't your daggers are gone going into the
Yeah.
next turn. Um I don't have like the data to say whether I think that she's good or bad right now. Um right now it just she feels very clunky
Mm-hmm.
because I just people, you know, like haven't had enough time to optimize her build. And the other thing that's really hard about Syndra is she's super weak to frailty tokens.
Yeah.
Which we encountered in our Arakni Marionette versus Syndra testing was like just playing Codex of Frailty and then just like you get the Frailty token. You know, some of your best turns, which is like something like Blood Runs Deep to like destroy them in the middle of the combat chain, and then you can re-equip and then attack with them again because they're new game objects.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that play pattern, like it just doesn't work because uh none of your daggers attack for anything, and you know, especially if your opponent has a Zen state,
Mm-hmm.
like then even flicking the daggers won't do any
Doesn't do
damage.
anything. Yeah.
And
Good old Zen.
so I I'm pretty sure as long as Zen is still legal, Syndra will not be very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
But Zen is pretty close to LL. I think he's like 900-ish points, like almost
Yeah.
900.
I will say, aside from Katsu, this is the most interesting ninja I've seen so far.
She's super
I
fun.
actually, I think
Super
her
fun.
playline seems super cool, which is crazy because I saw Draconic Ninja. I was like, oh, another Fi. My like least favorite hero. He's not my actual least favorite hero. I don't, I don't enjoy just spamming my hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what I like to do. But it seems like Syndra has a lot more like clever little flick knives interactions and like mini games you have to do to make things work. And I love mini games. That's why I love Assassin. It's got so many mini.
Yeah, I'll talk about my current thinkings with how to build her later when we talk about some of the deck lists that we're working on.
Yeah. Um, yeah, obviously Fang looks very cool too, and I do play Warrior. I've just honestly I've not had enough time to look into Fang, so I don't feel super confident in talking about him. But he seems like people are having some success with it. Seems like people are liking him, which
Yeah, I
excites
mean
me
you're
because
more of like a Kasai gamer, you know.
yeah, but I do like dual wielding, and if
Mm-hmm.
Fang is better at it than Kasai, you know, there are some worlds where I end up playing some Fang. I do like him.
I mean, I think
But
your
yeah,
time is going to be completely occupied with Assassin. I think Assassin, like, there's
probably.
so many good Assassin cards this set.
There's four. Sorry, there's five PC legal assassins now, right? Yeah, there's
Yeah,
five assassins now. And at least three of them are going to be occupying my mind a fair bit. So that's true. Speaking of that, I think we should start talking about some specific cards. So, basically, what we did, the whole set has been spoiled at this point. So
mm-hmm.
if you want to check that out, you should go to Fabruary and check out the spoilers. But we each picked just 10 cards we're going to talk about that we're the most excited about because a decent bit of the cards are like reprints or cards specifically for draft or at least for assassin, just like a couple different stealth cards. So I just want to talk about the ones I'm most excited for in terms of how they play. So if you want to scroll up to the top, uh, first I want to talk about. Oh, actually, a little bit further. Take up the mantle. A little further down, right there. Take up the mantle. This card, like, it got spoiled. I saw the art. It looks very like it's like a horror movie, but done in like Dishonored's art style, which is one of my favorite games. Like it's just, it
The art
screams
is so
flavor.
messed up.
Yeah, yeah, I would like a playmat of this. I would like a playmat of this greatly. But yeah, so it says target attack action card with stealth gets +2. If it's attacking a marked hero, instead it gets +3, and you may banish an attack action card with stealth from your graveyard. If you do, then the target instead becomes a copy of the banished card. So basically, with Take Up the Mantle, any stealth attack you play can become any stealth card from your graveyard as long as your opponent is marked. Which means if you have Bonds of Agony just chilling in your graveyard, that little Uzuri mix up where you attack with a stealth and you swap it into Bonds of Agony, you can do that in any assassin as long as they're marked. So Take Up the Mantle functions as a sort of codex of frailty just for stealth cards. That's also an above rate attack reaction if they're marked and on rate if they aren't, because it's +3 if they are marked as a yellow.
Mm-hmm.
It just does everything. Like it's such a good card. Um, this is probably my favorite card in the whole set. Uh, just the play lines it opens up for Assassin is really interesting. It adds another little mini game of trying to make sure you have a couple stealth cards in your graveyard that are useful. Um, it's it's quite neat. Quite.
Yeah, it's
The
such a
next
cool
one
card.
is Kiss of Death on the left. Kiss of Death. So this is 0 for 3 with stealth. When this hits a hero, they lose 1 life. But it's a dagger attack.
Yeah, it's
Not
the first card in Flesh and Blood to have the subtype to be an attack action card with the subtype of a weapon.
yeah. This card is so cool. Like there are some insane play lines you can do with this card that we'll talk about. Basically, like if you give this go again in some way, when you attack again afterwards, you can flick Kiss of Death using flick knives,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll hit the opponent, triggering the lose 1 life. But there's something else you can do with Kiss of Death, which is all of those cards that buff daggers buff Kiss of Death. So like there's a few different cards in the set that say like give a dagger +4 or give a dagger such and such. All of those apply to Kiss of Death. Tarantula Toxin, which was spoiled a while ago, a lot of people were speculating we'd get a stealth dagger, which we did in Graphene Calicera. But we also got a dagger stealth attack, which Tarantula Toxin works on. So it gives +3 and shreds a defending card for -3 block value. So you can use that on Kiss of Death. The other interesting thing you can do, all of those on hits that you can get from the agents, so the banish on hit from hand or from arsenal, you can apply those to Kiss of Death, give it go again, and then flick Kiss of Death, and it'll apply the on hits from the agents because they're given 2 Kiss of Death. So you can put on hits onto Kiss of Death and then use flick knives to deliver them to the opponent with unblockable damage. It is such a cool card, very flavorful, very neat.
Super cool.
The next card, it's a much simpler one. It's Hunter's Klaive up at the top. Yeah, Hunter's Klaive. This dagger, 2 cost, attack, go again for 1. When this hits a hero, mark them, and it has piercing. Now, for those who don't play new, when Beckoning Mistblade was first leaked, everybody thought it was fake because it didn't have piercing. So we're just so used to Assassin Daggers having piercing. And it turns out Beckoning Mistblade having piercing would have been broken, so I get why it doesn't. But man, it felt bad. Like playing into stuff like Kasai, you have to bring in a scaled peeler to debuff the dynamos before you can swing the dagger, because they can just block it with one piece of equipment. Hunter's Klaive, marking the opponent kind of serves a similar function to New's Mistblades. Like it gives your stealths +1 and go again on hit if you're playing Mary. When I saw Mark of the Huntsman, I was a little mid on Marionette because I was like, I don't know, marking seems like quite a hassle if you have to break your dagger to mark them. But then they just gave us this card that just says just mark them.
Yeah, yeah.
And
You were
I'm so
quite
happy.
concerned. You were like, oh, I don't know if like because the the rest of the mark cards for assassin are very like draft oriented,
Yeah.
and you were a little concerned that like marking would be a very inconsistent thing with Marionette, but
Nah, it's as simple as swinging a dagger, which means we're going to be running a decent number of blues, but not like new levels, obviously. But we want to be able to swing a dagger each turn. Like this dagger just revolutionizes the deck. Like the play pattern all revolves around this dagger, which I enjoy quite a lot. The next card I want to talk about is Mask of Deceit, 2 to the right. This card. I saw people online were calling it Traverse the Spider-Verse. Great. It's an Arakni spec, so other assassins can't play it, just Araknis. But that does mean Huntsman can play it. When you defend with this, you become an Agent of Chaos, and if the attacking hero is marked, you choose the Agent of Chaos. So with Mask of Deceit, you, in a pinch, if you just like need an Agent of Chaos ability, you can take a 5 out of 6 chance to get one that's going to give you offensive value on your turn by blocking with this rolling. If you get Trapdoor, sometimes you really don't want to see Trapdoor. But when they're marked, you're already going to turn into an Agent of Chaos. So this mask lets you re-roll to one of your choice, which is so good.
super good for becoming like Tarantula.
You can
Because
become Tarantula at the end game.
We said that one was like really good for ending the game and just being able to like if your opponent is marked, which there's like you can do it with the D-react on their turn that does it, and it just like because like when as stuff was being spoiled for Arakni Marionette, one of the concerns that like we had and other people had was that it's like a haha funny random deck that you're just like rolling a d6 to become a random Agent of Chaos, but like this helps address that a lot.
Yeah. Gives you that one moment of control over which agent you become. Seems like it's very important to save for the late game, honestly. Either to turn the trapdoor so that you can get another D-react just to get the card advantage to survive, or to turn to Tarantula to go for the kill. But it can also do stuff like fix a hand that needs go again from Redback, or if a hand has no disruption, you can re-roll to Black Widow or Funnel Web to try and disrupt their hand or arsenal. There's just a lot of stuff this card. The next one I want to talk about is Mark of the Black Widow, which is the stealth attack. Yeah, down there.
Yeah.
This one, when this attacks a marked hero, or when this hits a marked hero, they banish a card from their hand. Disruptive red stealths. I'm so glad we have them now. We have a couple of disruptive blue stealths, but like for example, new in Part the Mistveil, when you played her in draft, you weren't even really playing her for disruption. She didn't have access to Mask of Recurring Nightmares, and Persuasive Prognosis and Bonds were majestic. Saw them very
Mm-hmm.
infrequently. So you were mostly playing for like the swing at dagger, if you have a blue attack go again kind of value. Um, but now we have stealth cards that actually have on hit. Um, it incentivizes you to be marking opponents heavily, which is cool because I really like the marked mechanic. I think it's a cool thing to build around. So yeah, just seeing a common level stealth disruption, I love that. I think that's just going to be so good for Assassin in general.
Yeah, they really filled in a lot of the gaps with
Yeah.
the stealth cards this set.
Now, there's two more I want to talk about um, for Arakni Marionette, and then I have three that I'm interested in for Uzuri. So the next one is Up Sticks and Run. That one's way at the bottom. I can just describe it. We'll put it up in post. But it's a 0 cost 2 block that allows you to retrieve a dagger, which means you pay 1 to re-equip it, and then it gives your next dagger attack +4. So it's essentially a 4 go again that lets you re-equip a dagger for 1 resource. It is a very versatile card. It lets you, if you know you're running it, flick your knives a little more comfortably earlier, knowing you can retrieve them later. Uh, just a very interesting card. I wasn't expecting them to do the retrieve mechanic. I assumed it would stay like Concealed Blade, where you have to hit an opponent with something to re-equip a blade. But they were just like, nah, you know what? Flick those daggers, re-equip them with Up Sticks and Run. This card's just so cool. And the last one for Marionette that I wanted to talk about was Savor Bloodshed, which is a hybrid assassin warrior card. Savor Bloodshed. This one here. So target dagger. Your next dagger attack is +4. The next time you hit a marked hero with a dagger this turn, you draw a card. This is also a 0 for 4 go again, but this one can threaten card draw on a marked hero.
Mm-hmm.
There's some stuff you can do with flick knives to threaten this if you've already marked them with a trap or something like that, or you've turned into an agent of chaos. They're already marked. Both your dagger swings threaten to draw you a card, and it's just above rate on its own. It's a 0 for 4 3 block. So this card seems very good. I've seen some spots in my test games where it's been a little awkward, but I think that is largely due to me not having the game plan as down as I need to. You know, I think I have some spots where I can improve my game plan a little bit and see this card do some better work.
Yeah, the card's got really good stats. So.
Now, the three I want to talk about for Uzuri are also cool in Marionette, but well, not this one probably, but this one's a stealth card. I think you gotta scroll up. This one is called Scuttle the Canal. If you scroll down just a little bit, it is a little further down. It is that one on the right. Yeah, Scuttle the Canal. So this one is just 0 for 3 stealth. When this attacks a marked hero, this gains go again. Why I like this for Uzuri is I think Uzuri is going to be switching her daggers to Hunter's Klaive. Is running a mark package. Because there are some stealths in her toolkit that are very good if the opponent is marked. This is one of them. So if you've marked the opponent already with your dagger and you attack with this, there's a classic Uzuri mix-up, which is Uzuri's ability lets you swap a stealth card for another card. And something you had to do in Uzuri before is you had to use boots or something like that to give your stealth cards go again. Because if you attack with a stealth and they block 6 and you can give it go again, you can attack with another stealth, or you can send the thing you were going to swap with afterwards. They have to give up more cards out of their hand to block it. Scuttle the Canal, if they don't block your dagger as Uzuri, you have a stealth that already has go again. So now they have to think, well, if I block this, they're going to give it go again. They can just send the disruption anyways after. But if I don't block this, they just swap it for the disruption. I eat the disruption, right?
Yeah, it
It's a
puts them in
very
such a
good,
lose-lose situation.
yeah, it's a very good mix up. And I think I could be wrong. Like this card might just be draft trap, but this card seems like it's got some legs in Uzuri.
I
If
don't know.
not the red,
I
if
think
not
the
the red, at
blue
least the
one.
blue.
Yeah, like I think the blue one asks like a very awkward question of your opponent in Uzuri, and I
Yeah,
think that's worth it.
yeah. But yeah, the next one is Stains of the Redback. Stains of the Redback. I think it's a little further down.
No, I think it's
Stains of
up.
the Redback. Oh, maybe it's further up.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is. Stains of the Redback.
One of the best
This one's
arts in the game. Ooh, so
also
pretty.
so good for Uzuri. If you see this card line up with a stealth, a blue, and a 2-cost attack, this card is so crisp. So you attack with a stealth, play this, pitching a blue, floating 2 resources. You give that stealth +3 and go again. So if it's a stealth that does something, you're still attack reacting to push its on hit through. But then it just gets go again, not on hit, just gets go again. And you're floating 2 resources because it costs 1. Now, if they're marked, you don't have to pay any resources. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You just have all the resources you want. But even if they're not marked, and you do it this way, you send the stealth attack. You play this. Doesn't even matter if the +3 pushes it through. It gives it go again. You're floating 2 resources. Send Scene. Which is another way for Uzuri to do her go again mix up with stealth. And that was something I really wanted them to explore with her, is her mix up potential. I think that's the thing that she has over other assassins the best, is the mini game of knowing what she's gonna flip in. Is very difficult. The last thing I want to talk about for assassin, Orb-Weaver Spinneret, the next card. This card, very interesting for Uzuri. It's a 0-cost non-attack that says equip a Graphene Calycera token. Your next attack with stealth this turn gets +3 go again. So for Uzuri, Graphene Calycera is interesting because it's a stealth dagger, which means you can activate Uzuri's ability on it. You can use it as the stealth that you send to the bottom of the deck when it actually gets destroyed, and swap another attack in with. So I, in my Uzuri build, want to be equipping Graphene Calycera with this card and using the stealth dagger as part of my go again mix up, because if you have a blue, you attack with Hunter's Klaive for 2 resources. It hits, it marks, spend your other resource on the Graphene Calycera. It has go again because it's attacking the marked hero, but it also has stealth. So once again, am I going to swap my on hit in for this dagger? Are you going to block this dagger in case it has an on hit? Or will I just play it on the next chain link, right? Uzuri being given those 3 tools to like really enhance her mix-ups has me quite interested in playing her. I'm a little more interested in Marionette right now just because it's so novel, but I could
Mm-hmm.
see a world where I end up dusting off the old Uzuri. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for that. But yeah, that is my top 10 for assassin cards. Lots to think about with those. Let's move on to your ninja cards.
So there's a lot of, obviously like all these Cindra cards are new. Like I talked about Blood Runs Deep a little bit. I
Mm-hmm.
think that because like this one just flicks both daggers, this is the one that has like the smoothest, like deals with that issue I talked about earlier of like how, you know, because your daggers don't get destroyed till the chain closes, that if you don't have a way to destroy them before the chain closes, it's hard to re-equip them.
Mm-hmm.
Blood Runs Deep is like definitely Cindra's power card of like you can do dagger, dagger, this, and then re-equip the daggers, dagger, dagger, flick another dagger. And We Make Best actually did like a video sort of explaining this, so I won't go into too much detail, but it also
Oh, that's just like my favorite.
it combos really well with Poison Blade if you do Blood Runs Deep and Poison Blade in the same turn.
Mm-hmm.
Um it's just like, I forget the exact numbers, but it's just like every dagger you hit there also makes them lose 1 life. So it's like 3, 2, 2. Blood Runs Deep is 2, flicks both of them. So it's just like a lot of damage off of only needing to have 3 cards.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like definitely one of the things that I think will make Cindra very good is that particular interaction.
Yeah.
Now, if they have a Zen state or a frailty token, it becomes much worse, which is sort of the issue I was talking about. But the other Cindra card that I'm really excited about as well is Devotion Never Dies.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's 1 for 4 go again, that if the last chain link was Draconic, you can, if it hits, you could banish it and attack with it again, like Double Strike. But it's like, it doesn't have like a limit. So if you even just like Dagger, Devotion Never Dies, Dagger, Devotion Never Dies, Devotion Never Dies. If you have like the resources to be able to do that, it's like, that makes this like a 3 mana 12 if they don't block it.
Yeah.
It does get shut down pretty hard by them blocking, so it's sort of on you to like kind of sequence your cards in a way where they may not see this coming. I also think ancestral empowerment is a really important part of the Cindra puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're against like something like Aurora, and she gives you like 4 equipment block on this as soon as you play it, ancestral empowerment, ooh, punished.
Yeah. Yeah, that card's really cool.
As far as the other Draconic cards, I'm not like, a lot of them I'm sort of struggling a little bit to find their exact place in the deck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is another Majestic that has kind of gone in and out of my builds. Just because so it's like if it becomes Draconic, it gets go again, and then it discounts the next 3 Draconic cards you play by 1. But you just end up playing a lot of like 0 cost cards in the deck, and you just really don't end up getting its like full value. But yeah, and then Cass, you talked a little earlier about some of the retrieve cards.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the retrieve cards are really interesting for how they interact with Zephyr Needle.
Your Zephyr Needle Zen deck was so gross. I don't know if it's actually like super super good, but it did not
It
feel
felt
good.
gross when I was playing it. It's possible that I'm cooking too hard. But just being able, because the whole downside of Zephyr Needle is
Mm-hmm.
that it breaks and there's no way to get it from the graveyard. But they've just printed 2 cards that have a rainbow that let you re-equip that Zephyr Needle. And then Upsticks and Run in particular with Zephyr Needle, it makes the Zephyr Needle so big that unless they had Unmovable or Steelblade Shunt, there wouldn't be like a good way for them to destroy it by blocking it.
Yeah.
There's also another card in a similar vein called Dual Threat.
Mm-hmm.
This card seems insane to me in like
It's a little crazy.
in a deck that like has just like 2 daggers that attack all the time. And if you just have like a go again card, which that's what Ninja is known for,
Mm-hmm.
it gives +3 to the next attack action card if you've attacked with a weapon already, and then it gives +3 to the next weapon if you attack with an attack action card already. So if you go like head jab, dagger, dual threat, dagger, head jab, or no, it doesn't even have to be a head jab on the next one, but just like some other attack, this ends up being a 0 for 6 that blocks
0 for 6
3.
yellow is very good.
Yeah. So I think this card has a lot of potential. The only issue it sort of runs into is that if you're trying to trigger Mask Momentum, it is a non-attack action, so you do have to close the combat chain.
Yeah.
But there's definitely like spots in like Ira, or even Zen who doesn't run Mask Momentum, where this card's just like crazy value.
Yeah.
Um, Another card, it blows my mind that this
Ugh,
card is rare. To be
I
perfectly
hate this
honest,
card. I hate it so much. Why did they print it?
because like there's a particular interaction that I don't know. I haven't heard too many people talk about, but in ninja decks specifically, uh, if you do like Kadachi, sound the alarm. If they're a deck like Assassin or Warrior who has attack reactions, you then go get to put a D-React on top of your deck.
Hmm.
And if they don't block all of that, that triggers Mask Momentum, and then you get to put that in your arsenal. Or the other part of it is if you are playing Wax On, Wax Off, if you have like Wax On in your arsenal already, you can go tutor Wax Off for your next turn, get the
Yeah.
Zen State token. Like that seems crazy to me.
Not only just that, but just seeing your opponent's hand not on hit, on attack
Yeah, it doesn't
is
even have to hit
so
for you to.
good.
And it's like there's also point patterns you can do with this. Like if you're doing Ira and you're running a sensor, you just
Hmm.
do like Snapdragons on sound the alarm, see what's in their hand, play sensor, and then they know they're like, well, I have to block that because they know what's in my hand.
Yeah.
It's super, super terrifying and annoying. And then I don't know if I've gotten to 10, but there's one more card that I want to talk about. The other cards I kind of
Oh,
need to show the lists to talk about, but this
yeah, that's
one,
fair.
even if what I'm cooking with the retrieve Zephyr Needle stuff doesn't pan out for Zen,
Hmm.
this card is so good for Zen. Like on your opponent's turn, if you have 2 chi in hand
Hmm.
and you go chi, transcend off chi, and then you get 2 mana off the chess piece, and then you pitch one of them to make the Zen state off the chess piece and the other to pitch 3 mana into this, you can block. If they attack 5 times, you can block with 10 with your Quickdodge Flexors, and then the Zen state will prevent another 5 damage.
Yeah.
And so that's like two blues block with 15.
Yeah.
It's like I
I really don't know how to feel about this card. We'll see. We'll see how it pans out. But this card's
yeah.
crazy.
Like mind you, that value is if they are attacking that many times. So it's
Yeah.
not something that like stops an on hit. But even just like pitching a blue to block 6, like one of the ways you die in Zen is when you draw a chi when you needed to block. And this card is just like, don't worry, I got you. You
Yeah.
don't need to die. Um, but I think I want to move on to the deck lists now.
Yeah. So for the deck list, it's still early days. We haven't done a ton of testing. We have like a weekish under our belt of whatever proxy testing we've been able to do. But I
Mm.
kind of want to go over what I'm thinking about for each assassin. And then Connie's got some ninja lists to show you. So this is my Arakni Marionette list. We're gonna
Oh,
post
we're
all
gonna
the
put
links.
yeah, we're gonna put all these in the description.
Yeah. But yeah, on this list right now, I'm testing out the new chest piece, which you can get a resource every time a dagger hits up to 3 times in a game, and that has blade break. The boots, I'm back and forth between Black Text and Snapdragons. Black Text does need the hit. Um, Snaps, it can kind of do that pseudo Uzuri thing where they like block out the first stealth attack. You just snaps it, you send another one. Um, Back and forth on how good that is. But the idea with this deck is I'm running enough blues that I can swing the Mark Dagger every turn.
You got 18 blues in
Uh,
this list.
yeah, 18 blues. I'm thinking of bumping it to 20. We'll see. I have some cards that buff the daggers, like two sides of the blade, which I'm on the fence about. I'm on the fence about. It's very good if you see a blue in your hand. If you don't, this card is so terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking of maybe cutting it. And then obviously we have the blood Savor Bloodlust and some stuff like that. Savor Bloodshed to
Mm-hmm.
buff up the daggers and just make the daggers as annoying as possible to block because we really want to mark people. Um, you've got pain in the backside.
Pain in the backside, yeah.
Yeah, pain in the backside as well as like a head jab that on hit you get to just jab them with your mark dagger. So there's a few different ways to mark people. I'm running a one of pursue. Is it pursuit till oblivion?
Relentless pursuit.
Relentless pursuit, as well, just so that you can unconditionally mark opponents that are willing to block a lot. This also has some fatigue applications into some slower matchups where like you swing a dagger with one blue, you play this to mark them,
And
because
it
you swung
blocks
the
3,
dagger.
so
This
it's
goes to the
like,
bottom.
you know,
Yeah,
its floor is pretty decent.
its flurry is pretty decent. You can't discard it for the agents, but I don't know. It seems like a pretty good blue. And so
Mm-hmm.
the idea is, as Marionette, you're trying to swing a dagger, play a stealth, threaten the go again, try and have a reaction to pump it, get the go again, play one more thing. So go like 3 chain links wide, keep your mark on them as often as possible. Um, and then whenever they block out, you transform into an agent. Have enough cards in your deck that can synergize with agents where turning into the agent is a source of tempo instead of a source of breaking you. Now the sideboard, I have Art of Desire Body rather, for those decks where it is applicable. It's kind of neat. The on hit go again from Marionette means that if this draws you a card, you get to use it that turn usually.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just for getting an arsenal. That's pretty cool. We got some go again sources. We got some traps to tutor with trapdoor. You want to make sure you have at least one trap in there, so the trapdoor isn't a dead roll. Um, and then Tarantula Toxin and Stains the Redback are there for more blocky matchups to get around them blocking by giving Go Again or the Shred effect on Tarantula Toxin. Once I've had more time to cook with the deck, like after pre-release, uh, I would like to bring this deck for RTN season. So if that is the case and I end up playing this, I will of course do a full deck tech. I mean, I'll do a full deck tech anyways. Just sharing my thoughts on it. But for now, that's the overview. You can give it a try. I'm just running AB1 right now because I don't want to dedicate too much sideboard space to Wizard while I'm testing the deck.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with this. So give it a try if you can. Now, the other two I want to show is, yeah, my new Uzuri list. Now, full honesty, I was an Uzuri player pretty hardcore prior to New coming out, but I have since done very little looking into her. So it's possible this list betrays some new deck building principles. But this one, I have an idea with, which is the Orb-Weaver Spinneret. I think it's really good to play Uzuri somewhat defensively until you are able to flick your Mark Dagger for a positive effect, and then play an Orb-Weaver Spinneret the next turn to get a Graphene Calycera. Because, I mean, we touched on this, but swinging a dagger, marking them, swinging the Graphene Calycera has Go Again and Stealth, initiates that Uzuri mix-up. It also means off of a Tunic counter, you can just swing a Graphene Calycera and then use that as your swap target, have like a 1-card Command and Conquer or 1-card Shakedown, for
Mm-hmm.
example, off of just swinging the dagger and swapping it with something else. Um, so I'm trying to maximize the spots where I can do Uzuri Go Again stuff. I'm missing the one stealth that has Go Again if it attacks a marked target. I'm thinking I might replace Kiss of Death with that, but we'll see. Uh,
It's
might cut
hard.
Savor Bloodshed
Kiss of
for
Death
it.
is such a good card. Does
It
so much.
is, but
It
it's
just
it's
does a
not
lot of
as
damage.
good. It's not as good in Uzuri because it's
Yeah,
not a
yeah.
breakpoint, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not bad. It's not bad, but we'll see. That's what I'm cooking with Uzuri, and then with new, I think I had a deck called Bite Marks there. So I had this idea where I do a blue. do the Beckoning Mistblade in one hand and then the Mark Dagger in the other, and play around landing one of the daggers with Savor Bloodshed, and then having like the blue attack that cares about marked, and I think I have 4 of them that care about. I got the other one that remarks them on hit. Yeah, so like a bunch of blue stealths that care about your opponent being marked means if you can hit with both daggers, those do a lot of good. They're like disruptive blue stealth that were added to the arsenal, or to the equipment. Oh my, equipment. What? Flesh and Blood used too many catch-all terms for set of things a person has to fight. I guess the toolbox. It added a lot to the new toolbox. I'm not sure how
Mhm.
good this dual dagger build is, but I do think there is some merit to running a marking package with new, just because some of the other blue stealths, uh, like they banish from grave, which is pretty good, but that's kind of all. And I like the idea of having more like catch-all blue stealths in your deck quite a lot. So that's what
Well,
I'm cooking with
and more
new.
stealths that like represent something that the opponent does have to block. Because I know with
Hmm.
like playing Zen into new a whole bunch, like when I get attacked with something like bonds of attraction, let's say, I'm
Yeah.
just like, oh, thank God, I don't have to. This is not
Yeah,
something that I care about.
exactly. And so this list, I'd like to reduce that as much as possible by making my blue stealths really good.
I think
Um,
this one especially is like
yeah,
totally
we're
worth
running the
doing
blue
though.
just because you can give it go again off Mistblade.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running Flick Knives in this one, and then I'm running some cards in my sideboard that can re-equip the dagger, so that in a pinch, you can mark the opponent with flicking the mark dagger, so
Mm-hmm.
that you can use Take Up the Mantle, or you can, do other stuff that tricks them with the mark. Um, and then the sideboard looks a little standard. I'm running up sticks and run in place of one more go again source because it kind of is one. It adds it to your dagger. I
Yeah,
like that.
you're playing.
It
People
makes
are
it,
playing Scar for a Scar to kind
yeah,
of deal with Enigma, but this is like kind of the same thing.
yeah. I mean, it is. It does end up becoming like a 3 for 5 go again instead of it becomes kind of like an enlightened strike with a dagger on it. Play
Mm-hmm.
for the go again. But I think it's pretty good.
But
So
I think,
that's it for my assassin cooking.
well, just like one more thing about Flick Knives is like
Hmm.
it has a lot of why you didn't do it into Enigma was because you didn't have the retrieve to go get the daggers back.
Yeah, that's true.
So like with retrieve, that opens up some possibilities of like dealing with something like a 10k reunion by flicking the knife and things like that.
Yeah, would have been nice. Although you usually run Van Brace in the arm slot, so we'll see. We'll see
Yeah.
what happens. But yeah, why don't you go over your ninja list? You cooked us some weird stuff with Zen that I'm very excited to talk about.
Yeah, I want to talk about this one first. I'm still back and forth with this list of whether I want flick knives or whether I want Shuko, because I don't know if you necessarily need the flick knives. I'd have to do some more testing to just figure out which gets more value over the course of the game, flicking the
Mhm.
Zephyr Needles that we're gonna break anyway, or the pluses off of Shuko. But we were doing a little testing with this earlier, and I managed to like kind of get it to go off, and it's like
Mhm.
I was stacking like when you play up sticks and run, Zephyr Needle comes in for 6,
It's crazy.
and then like uh
And so it's like you
um
want to try and break it early, which I was trying to, but then you just retrieve it. You have so many cards that do that.
yeah, like I've got the red and blue up sticks because even the blue up sticks makes the Zephyr Needle attack for 4, which means they'd
Mm.
need a 5 block or more card to actually break the dagger. So you're like,
I did,
it basically guarantees, and then uh, it's a 0 cost blue go again that you can transcend off of.
yeah.
And
What's that one on
then
the right? What is that? Oh, pick at the point. Yeah.
Yeah, just the blue
Yeah,
head jab retrieve.
Mm.
And so you have like 9 sources of retrieve. I think dual threat is like really easy to do in this deck.
Yeah.
Especially because you end up like you can get tigers, which are an easy access attack action card that you can give pluses with dual threat.
Yeah, and a lot of the time you don't care about the number of chain links as then.
Yeah, you don't have mask momentum, so breaking the combat chain is totally fine. The,
Mm-hmm.
the only other change that I kind of made with this deck is I took out Warmongers because now you have like a big chunk of attack action cards that you want to play that your Warmongers would probably brick you more than you would like it to in like this kind of deck.
That
I
seems fair.
and then I got the Quickdodge Flexors as well because
Yeah, we went over that interaction.
I don't know if this like Zephyr Needle Zen is actually good.
I
It's
think it
poss.
is.
I think it definitely might be. It's possible I'm cooking too hard, but definitely regardless of whether this ends up being the playstyle, this card was gonna go into Zen either way.
Yeah.
Um, the other deck I was cooking up is this Ira list.
Mm-hmm.
Um, also running dual threat. Um, not going like as all in on the retrieve cards because like Ira makes the needle attack for 3 with her hero ability. So
Mm-hmm.
most of the time, like unless they have to draw a D-react usually to break it.
Yeah.
But then you just have like 6 copies of retrieve cards to go get it. Um
Mm-hmm.
and then what the retrieve cards do as well is like any turn that you draw one of them,
Mm-hmm.
then you have free reign to flick something
True.
because you can just get it back immediately. And there was even like games I've played where I was like I felt like flicking the knife here would be good value, and then I just know that I'll draw one of these retrieve cards eventually, and then you just go get it back.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing on Marionette also, which is slightly awkward. So I'm not sure if it's correct, but
I've been trying this card. I have still yet to find a moment in any of my testing where I actually wanted to cast it.
yeah.
Uh, but I mean, it is a 3 block 0 cost blue, so it's like it's kind of hard to complain with those kind of stats. But I have yet to actually resolve it. I just like trying to
It
leave
seems
it.
tricky.
Yeah, I'm trying to leave it in my deck just to hope that I find one of the times where it actually works. I'm like, okay, so maybe this is a good card.
Mm-hmm.
I got the sound the alarm like I was talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
This Ira list doesn't have the wax on wax off package, but you know, just being able to like go grab something like Shelter from the Storm, which I think is going to be like really important with
Mm-hmm.
dealing with Assassin, or that all you got, or just Sink Below, like just because like with Ira, your what you want ideally is to
Mm-hmm.
do a 3 block and a D react and then send Kadachi something. That's like the Ira value cycle that you're trying to play for all the time.
Yeah.
And so even if you're not tutoring wax on wax off, just seeing what's in their hand on attacking, which blows my mind as a rare, uh,
Great.
and then being able to just know that you got a guaranteed sink below for next turn is like
Yeah.
really good. Um, the Cindra deck I have, I'm not like super confident in.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely need to do more testing
She
to figure
seems
out.
weirdly unintuitive to build. Kind of excites me in that way.
Well,
Just the
it's
pitch curve is fascinating.
the pitch curve is it's really interesting you mentioned that because it's like I keep adding more blues to my Cindra deck. Like I started out at like 15 blues because
Mm-hmm.
that's like what I've run in most of my ninja decks. Um, but then you just like as I kept going with the deck, I just realized like, oh man, I really do just need to draw a blue every turn.
Yeah, because a bunch of these cost like one or two and don't get discounted unless you can play Draconic Chain Links, and your daggers are those, so you need the blue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I want this card to work very badly.
yeah.
I
It
like
felt pretty
these.
good in the game we played.
Yeah, like there's this one and there's another one called Dragon Power, which is also like 1 for 7 if it's draconic. I
Mm.
would love a world where playing 3 of each of those made sense, but right now I'm just on 2 of them because they don't have go again.
Yeah.
I got some lava bursts in there because I think this is so easy to trigger this card and it's just good value.
Mm.
Um, Spreading Flames, so good with the draconic daggers. Um, with Fi, you actually had a lot of spots where it was hard to get like too much value out of this card, but
Mm.
because of the draconic daggers, you just go this dagger for two, and then every at that point onward, every head jab you play will get +1.
Mm.
Um, and then I've forced CNC and E Strike into this deck because I don't know they're my favorite cards in the game. I've spent a bunch of money on them. It
Yeah.
feels weird to not have them in every deck that I play. Like E Strike's just the goat. It's just the goat.
It was pretty
And then CNC is just the goat.
good. Yeah.
Uh, and then I'm like still kind of iffy on the sideboard. Right now, I've just been putting Snag into like every deck
Because you
because
hate me.
I do hate Cass. I think Snag is just like if assassins are good, like there's no reason not to
Just
put
ban
it
that
in your deck.
card.
Just
Make it
ban
so
that card.
gross. Ah.
And then I'll just mention this really briefly. I've been doing a little bit of Katsu brewing. I I don't think Katsu, as much as this card is really cool and interesting,
Mm.
I don't think it really does a ton to like help Katsu sort of get back to the point where he was before the bonds ban.
Mm.
Um I feel like this kind of deck works really well into someone like if you're playing against like another aggro deck who really doesn't want to block your stuff,
Mm.
then you kind of get to tutor and do whatever you want. But I feel like as soon as you go into like assassin or anything that's like comfortable blocking your stuff or offers even just a littlest bit of disruption that the whole game plan kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
I I feel very strongly about Ira.
Mm.
I feel like Ira, like for this RTN season coming up, there's not a, I think there's a non 0% chance that I would play Ira over Zen, maybe.
Yeah. He seems pretty good.
But both Ira and Zen I think are the strongest right now. And then I think Cindra won't be good until Zen LLs. I think
Makes sense.
like just I think the Zen State tokens are just too crazy. But so those are kind of my thoughts on Ninja after this set.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ninja and Assassin both got a lot of tools.
Yeah. I'm
And
uh I'm very curious to see which assassin comes out on top. I'm assuming it's gonna be new. I'm assuming new is still the best. I don't think enough has changed for that, but new is also getting up there in LL points, and I think Marionette at least has game into her because the non-blocks. If you can't block Marionette, I think they
mm,
do kind of run you down, especially if you have trouble blocking the dagger. Like that deck can do some damage while punching out disruption. But yeah, so that's been our overview of the Hunted
mm,
and of the Battle Hardened Toronto. I'm currently in the midst of booking my stuff for England in April. I'm very exhausted right now because I just got back from vacation. I immediately went back into working 2 jobs. I'm quitting my second job as of like this week. Well, I put in my notice, so that'll free up some time. I've been finishing up my album, which still have like a tiny bit of retracking to do. There's just so much stuff. I did like a deep clean of my bedroom this last weekend because it was just full of to no 7 garbage bags worth of possessions from the past like 15 years of my life that I just didn't need taking up space anymore. I have cardboard for that now. So yeah, it's been a tiring time, but I'm very glad we got to record this episode because I've missed doing Bloodrot Talks.
Absolutely. Or definitely our goal is to try to do more consistent episodes.
Yeah, I think as far as like a full-fledged like 1 to 2 hour long episode, I don't think we'll be doing those weekly, but I would like to have something out weekly, like whether it's gameplay or something like that, and do like a Bloodrot Talks episode when it's appropriate, like when we have a topic in mind, you know. But do definitely expect to see some more gameplay coming uh, in the following weeks because I have a lot of testing I want to do with Arakni Marionette, and Connie has a lot of testing to do on Ninja. So
Yeah, we want to put out. I'd like to put out more like actual guides, but I don't. With the new decks, like we really want to make sure that we've tested enough and to know what we're talking about, and we're not just
yeah,
like.
I don't realistically want to put out a guide that's any less in depth than the new one that I did, at least as far as my heroes are concerned. Like even the heroes I play that aren't new, I don't think I know them well enough that I'd want to do an in-depth guide. But I want to learn Marionette to that point because they seem like a very deep hero.
Yeah, well, I know, especially with like what I was saying, like the Cindra stuff is like really not figured out yet, and so like
Yeah,
I don't really want to talk about that until like it the consensus of like the fab community on like how a deck like that should be built.
yeah. But I think that about wraps it up for us. Uh, Thank you so much to everybody for watching, and we're very sorry for the extended absence. There's gonna be more Bloodrot Talks coming your way. There's a whole lot of Flesh and Blood we have to play, and I have a lot of preparing to do for the Pro Tour. So you'll be seeing more of us around. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for our lovely 80 something subscribers right now. And yeah, enjoy the Hunted. Coolest set Flesh and Blood's ever dropped. Till next time.